Hello viewers, you're welcome to this tutorial. So we are learning how to deal with files in Python. Okay, so the previous tutorial was about functions and we are done with functions. So in this one we're learning how to integrate our Python code to read with files or to interact with files. So what is a file? Now even when you're going to buy something from the market or from a store, or maybe you're going to school, you have a group of list of things you want to buy. Okay, so that group of list is written on a piece of paper, or you type it, or any way you like to put them on a mobile phone or any other stuff. Okay, so you are able to put an information on a file which you look up to them later instead of keeping them in your head. All right, so in this tutorial I made a file called countries. Okay, so this is a file. Now a PDF could be is a file, a Word document is a file, an Excel sheet is a file, a PowerPoint is a file, a TXT file, which is this the file of a notepad, okay, is also a file. So if I open this, there are groups of countries inside it. So I have this six countries here, 6 countries which I typed just for this tutorial. So these are the countries we could have in a file. Okay, we can have every country in a file. Okay, so let's jump into it now. What is the essence of having a file and integrating it with our Python code and causing them to interact? Now it gets to a point in development where you like to keep some data in a file. This is different from a database where we deal with Microsoft SQL, MySQL, and also you have Oracle. No, this is a different stuff. Okay, so with that one they also deal with files. Okay, but you don't read them as you read these files. Okay, that ones are different. They access them through queries and other stuff. So in these files, why will I need to use a file if there is a database in my graphical user interface application? Now bear in mind we are still dealing with console. Okay, we're just dealing with console, using command prompt to run our code, and PyCharm has its default console it uses to run the code. So what is the essence of a file if there is an existence of database? Now if you're developing an application and you want to generate a report, okay, so in as much as you have an application like this, maybe you have an application like Firefox, which is the application you use in your organization, and at the end of the week you want to generate a report, the report is not going to be in the database file. Okay, the report has to be in either a Word file or a PDF, often a PDF. Okay, so that PDF you need to know how to use Python to write onto a PDF file. Okay, so in as much as you have a database, you really need the technique on how to write to a file. And so if you want to generate a report, you can be able as a programmer to use your coding skills to put things behind the scene, so it generates a user report for the whole week and sends it to the manager via email or any other thing. So this is very necessary. So in as much as we're just learning it with the console, you really need how to the experience on how to read, write, and append to a file when dealing with even graphical user interfaces. Okay, so let's just give a start to it. So these are the 3 things we need to know about files. Okay, so this is different from database, you already know, which I've said earlier. So we're just learning how to put something within the file, okay, which is writing to a file, and how to read from a file, which is these are basic English terms. So we want to learn how to read what is in the file, meaning we are reading this information, all this information, we want to read them from a file, then use them for whatever we want to do with them. Then also want to write to a file. Writing to a file is when you are rewriting. Okay, you are changing the whole contents of the information and putting in the information you have. Okay, so when you move to a new apartment, you write to the apartment. Writing to the apartment means you are changing everything in the room and you're putting in what you love. Okay, so that is writing to file. Appending to file is you already love what is in the room and you are just adding what you have. Okay, so that's the difference between write and append. With writing, you overwrite everything in the file and put your information within, but with append, you are just adding new things to the file in as much as you want to keep the existing data within the file. Okay, so these are the basic things we want to know, and why we need to write to files and why we need to understand this technique. And so if you know these basic things, you are good to go within files. Okay, so there are so many things to learn in this tutorial which will be helpful, so I really appreciate you view this tutorial. And there's a personal story I like to share with you. When I began coding in Python, okay, when I began my own personal project, I was handling the project work, which is my own project work at school. Okay, now I never knew databases. There were so much guys who were good at databases. I contacted all of them, but I faced the problem of not really knowing databases, and I was wondering which database to use in my application. Okay, so I used a TXT file. Can you imagine? I used a notepad file, okay, as my database for my application. So yeah, I'm really interested in this field when it comes to files. You have no idea how interested is it to me. So it gave me a hands-on experience on how to deal with files. So when it got to a point, generating reports was not a problem to me because I already knew how to deal with files. So generating a report from an application became so simple. Okay, so I spoke to some database guys about it, that hey, my project work was all about notepad files, and they said how possible, because they were database guys. They know that if you use a database, you access kind of the values by queries, by rows or columns, so it makes everything simple. Okay, but how can you what if you have thousands of data? How will you access the last one? So I just discussed it with them. Oh, I use reading, I use CSV. You're gonna hear a whole lot of things. So this topic is a topic of a great interest to me. Okay, because when I never knew databases and I was handling my project work, I used Notepad. So I had several files, about 6, 7, 8 files. One to handle the user account, usernames and password, another to handle the drugs, another to handle countless of things. So you're really going to have a point of interest when you're dealing with files. So in as much as we learn files, we still learn databases. Okay, but I want to give you this experience, so anytime you have an application, generating a report will be made so easy for you. And there are other things you would like to do with files. Okay, you want to put some information in your readme folder. Most of you who install applications, they are readme files. Okay, not folders, readme files, which contains instructions on how to install your application. So there are so many things we can do with files, and we'll really go ahead with this. So this is a point of interest. Now if my story is good for you, just share yours as well if you want. Okay, so each one of us has a story. So I used a txt file. Now I did not use the txt file to store images because I couldn't store images within txt file. So I was just using it to store numbers and text and all other things, and using commas. So we'll learn a whole lot of things as we go. So this is the basic thing you need to know within files. Okay, so in the next tutorial we're going to jump into implementation of files and how to use files to do whatever thing we want to do. So thank you for viewing. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Like the video if they're informative for you, and ring the bell to get all updates you need. Thank you for